Hello everyone, welcome to channel 8. I'm your host, Nohalimata binti Abdullah. So today I'm going to talk about one of the famous accounting scandal that has ever happened, which is Wells Fargo scandals. Who is Wells Fargo? Many people wonder who is Wells Fargo. Actually, Wells Fargo is an American multinational financial service company. The image of Wells Fargo is a 6-horse stagecoach thundering across the American waves loaded with gold. In 1852, Henry Wells and William Fargo founded the Wells Fargo & Co., his new company of banking, which is buying gold and selling paper banknotes. In 2000, Wells Fargo was considered as one of the big 4 banks in the United States along with JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Citigroup. Wells Fargo is a diversified financial service company. The ranking of the company is the 7th largest bank holding company in the United States. The company community's banking operations serve nearly 11 million customers. Wells Fargo is one of the top cost sellers of financial service in the United States. It offers credit card, personal loans, wealth management service, and insurance. In business-oriented service, the company offers commercial banking service, investment banking, capital venture, and equipment leasing. Next, I would like to explain about the chronology of the Wells Fargo scandals. The Wells Fargo account fraud is very controversial. In late 2016, the news of Wells Fargo became famous and everyone knows about this case. This scandal is about the creation of millions of federal savings and checking accounts on behalf of the Wells Fargo client without their consent. Clients of Wells Fargo began to notice the fraud after being charged unanticipated fees and receiving unexpected credit or debit cards or lines of credit. In 2013, an article from the American Bankruptcy Institute Journal, Wells Fargo employees reported that 1.5 million checking and savings accounts are open. Then the bank was fined with $1,534,280 for unauthorized deposit account and $565,433 for credit card accounts between 2011 and 2016. That was very unethical work. This all happened because of the bank's marketing incentive plan. They set extremely high sales of gold to the employee to cross-sell the additional banking product to the existing customer, whether or not the customer needed or wanted them. Employee become pressured and decide to do all of this fraud. Next, the news of the fraud became widely known after various of regulatory bodies, including the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, fined the company a combine of $185 million as the result of illegal activity. It was very shocking to everyone, especially to the customer. After much pressure, Wells Fargo company had finally the bank agreed to settle for $142 million with consumer who had an account opened with their name without their permission in March 2017. People who are involved in this case are CEO of Wells Fargo and all working employees from 2002 until 2016. The employees used fraud to meet the impossible sales goals and were encouraged to order a credit card for pre-approved customer without their consent and use their own contact information to fill out requests to prevent the customer from discovering the fraud. The employees also created fraudulent savings and checking accounts, a process that involved a movement of money out of the legitimate accounts. There are 4 factions of people who are affected by this scandal. The first one is the Wells Fargo employees. The company pressured the employees with a high expectation of sales as high as 20 products a day. Because of that, many of the employees suffer a lot of stress, always crying, and some of them having a panic attack. Second, stakeholders and owners of Wells Fargo. The stakeholders and owners of Wells Fargo are being affected negatively by this situation as well. Because of the fraud, the Wells Fargo stock price immediately dropped and negatively impact the owner's wealth. Third, customers. Customer trust has decreased with the whole banking industry due to this issue. Customers' credit score are also likely to be affected by the fake accounts. The bank was able to prevent the customer from pursuing legal action as opening an account mandated that the customer enter into private arbitration with the banks. Fourth, institutional investors like Berkshire Hathaway. The Berkshire Hathaway company has been looking at Wells Fargo in both short and long term. In short term, saying that the policies driving the sales team is wrong and the upper management should have eliminated this issue long before it became public. Meanwhile, in the long term, Berkshire Hathaway has been lining up the appropriate paperwork to purchase a larger stake in the Wells Fargo company. This could signal to the market and stakeholders just where Berkshire Hathaway feels about Wells Fargo is doing and where they could end up in the future. Lesson that can be learned from Wells Fargo scandal is number 1. Do not assume that the customer will tolerate anything. Wells Fargo is one of the oldest and recognized names in the banking industry. Once a business is fully established and secure, it is easy to fall into the trap assuming that the customer will tolerate misbehavior acts like aggressiveness, tactics, or public scandal. Second, prevent value leakage. We must prevent value leakage. Value leakage is a problem that commonly associated with M&A transaction. It is still a relevant issue in Wells Fargo scandal. According to the account of former Wells Fargo employee, they claim that the only way they could meet the sales goals and receive commission is to game the system through the opening and closing of fake accounts. Third, do not lose sight of your company's mission. The mission of every business should be to exceed its customer expectation and to provide them a great customer experience. It was apparent that this was not the vision of the consumer banking division of Wells Fargo. The community banking division of Wells Fargo only cared about increasing the sales, which turned into incentive compensation. This was a significant failure to the culture of the bank. The board should encourage employees to report genuine concern in relation to breach of a legal obligation, including negligence, criminal activity, breach of contract, breach of law, miscarriage of justice, danger to health and safety, or to the environment, and the cover-up of any of these in the workplace. And communication with stakeholders can build trust and understanding between the company and its stakeholders. It provides stakeholders a better appreciation of the company's objective and the quality of its management. From the company's perspective, it provides an avenue for invaluable feedback that can be used to understand the stakeholders' expectation and develop business strategy.